G'day, it's Rusty and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be creating something a little bit different. Online I come across a file for a 3D dinosaur and it's a pretty cool looking thing. And depending on the gauge of the material you cut it out of, it depends how big it is. So I'm going to be using 3mm mild steel, and that means it'll be about 37 inches and it'll stand, I reckon, about 2 foot high looking at the design. And the file is made up of 60 pieces and they've all got little cutouts in them and they all slot together. Because I'm going to be taking it to the markets and displaying it, I'm going to weld the pieces together so it's one unit rather than all the pieces sort of like a jigsaw puzzle. And according to the website that I bought the file from, which also has a list of instructions on how to put this thing together, the dinosaur is actually called an Allosaurus, and it's based on something that was dug up in Wyoming back in 1991. So that's what today's project is. I'll take you over to the computer and show you the file, and I'll show you what a picture of it looks like when it's been made, and we'll get on and cut this thing out on the table. Alright, so we've opened up the MyPlasm software, which is what I'm running on my table, and we've imported the file which has got the 52 pieces for the dinosaur, and the file size is 810 wide by 702 millimeters high. So that's the size of the piece of 3mm plate that we're going to be cutting. So we position the torch in the front left hand corner. We've clicked on this project position button to tell the torch it's down here. So these are our cut settings. We're cutting 3mm plate, 45 amps on the cutter, 1.5 millimeters is the width of the kerf, and we've got the arc voltage for the torch height control set to 0. 0 in here is auto control, and what it does, it lets the software set the voltage based on the height that we're asking for it to cut at. So here's our cut speed, 3850 millimeters a minute, 2200. So this value is approximately 60% of the normal cut speed, and the software will kick in if it comes to a small diameter circle or radius that it slows down for. So that's what that speed's for. Cutting height is 1.5 millimeters, pretty standard. The pierce height is 3.8 mil. We've asked for a 400 millisecond pierce delay time, so that takes, when the torch comes down to 3.8 mil, it fires 400 milliseconds, then it drops down to the 1.5 millimeters, and then it proceeds on each of the cut. And we have a floating height of 20 mil. So every time it's cut, and the torch will come back up to 20 mil, move to the next piece. So that's how the floating height works. All right, so we're in this corner here. We're ready to go. It's just a matter now of hitting the start button, and away we go. Well, now all the pieces are cut out, I've got to go and pick them all up, and a couple of these smaller ones here actually fell through into the water table, so I'll need to go and pick all them out and make sure I've got them all. I did say earlier that there was 60 pieces. Actual fact, there was 60 pierce points on the table, so as you can see by this skull here, it's got several cutouts, so there's actually a few less pieces. But I'll get all the pieces out. We've got to clean them, and then we can start the assembly process. And now that I've cleaned all the pieces, I've laid them out on the bench here, and as you can see, I guess that's sort of backbone, rib cage maybe, some vertebrae I'm thinking, the pieces of the skull, this is part of the leg, I think these might be vertebrae, I think these things up here are part of the rib cage, toes and feet, and these plates, I think they lock pieces in. So it's a case of, I guess, follow the instructions and we'll start and piece this Allosaurus together. Now, by following the instructions, and they're quite detailed, it shows you how these pieces slot together. So the left and right leg, well, this is the foot, one slopes forward. If you look at this one, it actually slopes back. So then when you put these joiners in, this is the joiner, and when you put it on, the slot faces inward. So, so you slot these in here, and then that one will slot in there. So some of these pieces, because of the design, I had to tweak the size to get it correct. The slots are, some of them are a little bit tight, so some will go in halfway, some won't quite go in all the way. So what I'm doing is I'm just actually using a little hammer and I'm just tapping these together. So it may be that I don't actually have to weld it all together when it's done, but I'll get on and put it all together, and I'll show you how, as I progress, how it's looking. Well, I've got his feet and his legs, and we're up to the hip now. So this is like his hip area. Now this slot at the front has his neck, and the tail section, goes in this piece. So, yeah, he's coming along, and we'll keep progressing. And the jaw pieces are now connected to this center support plate. So you've got the two upper pieces and the two lower, and then the head attaches to the neck. So with the head mounted on the neck went into this hip section, and the tail pushed into the back. You sort of got to do it at the same time to balance it. It's sitting there pretty balanced, actually. If I sort of, don't want to rock it around too much, but you get the idea. So it's sitting there. Now I can put all the these vertebrae on the back and these rib cage sections on the front. I'll get on and do that. Well, I fitted these rib cage bones, I guess they are, and up the tail you've got these vertebrae. The front arms click onto this center rib, and his little fingers are there, so he's certainly coming along. There's just a little bit of work in this back hip to do, but that's how he looks at the moment. Now the two pieces that I wasn't sure about, these two hip bone, or this pelvic bone here, fitted onto this center piece, and there's a little keeper in the back. And the other small piece I had that I wasn't sure about was this little jawbone. I don't know if I can get in there. There, maybe you can't. No, it's not going to focus. There's this jawbone plate here that just locks the two lower jawbones in place. And as I said before, because I'm taking this to the market, what I've actually done is I've gone and just spot welded some of the main pieces in place. All these little ribs, I've just put a little spot with the TIG welder, and I've TIGged all these little vertebrae in place, because the tail section comes out, the neck section comes out, the skull comes off, and this center rib that's got the two arms on it, the two forearms, I've actually kept them separate, and the same with the legs. So the legs come out as one piece. I've welded the toes into the ankle plate, and I'm really pleased to say, if I give this a bit, he actually sits there quite stable. So that's how he looks, and I'm really impressed with the way he's come about. Probably, I did muck around a little bit, just sizing things up and getting him to fit together. So it probably took me over an hour to assemble it, but I did have it apart a few times, put it back together again, which is usual with something I was never sure about how it actually was going to go together. But the instructions were quite straightforward, and yeah, I'm really pleased with the end result. I hope someone at the market likes him enough to either want to buy him or order one. Alright, so this is the Allosaurus all put together. Really fun project, I enjoyed doing it. As I said, the file contained 52 pieces to make up this 3D model, and what I've also done is, because I'm taking it to the market, I've welded some of the pieces together. You can still pull the tail section, the neck section, skull comes off, but I've welded a few of the bits together just to give it a bit of stability. Just a little bit of facts about the size of this. The height to the hip is 440mm high, or 17.5 inches if you're imperial. Top of the skull is 550 high, or 21.5 inches. The height to the top of the tail there is 580mm high, or 23 inches. And nose to tail overall is actually 1110mm, or 44 inches. Now the instructions I had for 11 gauge, which I believe is 3mm, said 37 inches. So anyway, happy with the size. I think he's a great looking thing. So I'm actually thinking about selling them online on my website. My website, I'll have a link in the description below, to actually buy the pieces as a kit, and you can actually assemble it yourself. If that's something anyone's interested in, please drop me a message, and I'll certainly sort that out for you. If you like the video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, the subscribe button is down here somewhere. So if there's something you don't like about the video and you give it a thumbs down, can you put in the comments below what you didn't like? Because I'm always trying to make better content. If you'd like to support the channel, appreciate all the support I get. There's a link in the description below to buy me a coffee. I certainly do appreciate the support I'm getting from the viewers. So that's it for this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.